You know that moment when your child is screaming on the floor, you're at your wit's end, and you feel like the worst parent ever? What if I told you that exact moment, yes, that one, could be the most powerful opportunity for your child's emotional development you're completely missing? Neuroscience shows these repair moments actually build stronger neural pathways than prevention alone. As Jung observed, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Stop. Before you try another sticker chart or time out, what if everything you've been taught about handling meltdowns is actually working against your child's emotional intelligence? What happens after the meltdown determines whether this moment becomes a traumatic memory or a building block for emotional strength. Here's what's at stake. By age 7, your child's emotional blueprint is largely formed. Children who don't learn healthy repair are 3 times more likely to struggle with anxiety and relationship difficulties later in life. But there's a solution hiding in plain sight. Today, I'm sharing the first 3 steps of the 6-step R.E.P.A.I.R method that transforms these seemingly failed moments into powerful emotional learning experiences. This is not about perfect parenting, it's about authentic connection when things fall apart. Let's be honest about why most parenting advice around meltdowns fails miserably. Timeouts? They often leave children feeling abandoned in their biggest emotional moments. Punishment? Creates shame that literally shuts down learning in the developing brain. Even standard positive parenting often misses the critical repair window. Think about Max, a 6-year-old who would completely melt down every time he lost a game. His parents tried everything: rewards for good sportsmanship, consequences for poor behavior, even elaborate discussions about feelings, yet nothing changed. Why? Because these approaches all focus on the wrong moment. They're trying to prevent the inevitable instead of harnessing the transformative power of what happens after. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds great in theory, but what about when my 4-year-old is having a complete meltdown in the grocery store and the person in line behind me is giving me that look? I promise we'll get to that exact scenario, but first, let's understand why repair is actually more powerful than prevention could ever be. Think about your most meaningful relationships. Are they the ones that never faced conflict, or the ones that successfully moved through difficult moments? When a child experiences emotional dysregulation, that's fancy talk for a meltdown, followed by successful repair, something remarkable happens in their developing brain. New neural pathways form that would not exist without the rupture in the first place. But what happens when a child's emotions are invalidated, dismissed, or blocked? When we say things like, "don't cry," or "you're overreacting"? Emotions are literally energy in motion, emotion, designed to move through the body and signal important information about needs and boundaries. When this energy is blocked, it does not simply disappear. It becomes stored in the nervous system, creating what neuroscientist Dr. Stephen Porges calls neuroception of danger around emotional expression. Research shows that chronically invalidated children develop one of 2 maladaptive patterns: emotional flooding, where feelings emerge in overwhelming, dysregulated bursts, or emotional constriction, where feelings are suppressed, often manifesting as anxiety, depression, or physical symptoms. Perhaps most concerning, children whose emotions are consistently invalidated learn to invalidate themselves, developing what psychologist Dr. Jonas Webb calls emotional blind spots, an inability to recognize, trust, and respond to their own emotional signals. This emotional disconnection becomes the foundation for people-pleasing, perfectionism, and difficulty with authentic intimacy in adulthood. This is why repair is so powerful. It's like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, making it more beautiful than before it was broken. Every time you help your child repair after a meltdown, you're literally rewiring their brain for resilience. But miss these opportunities, and by age 7, your child may have internalized that big feelings are dangerous, relationships break under pressure, and they're alone in emotional storms. That's the cost of inaction, and it's a price none of us wants to pay. The R.E.P.A.I.R method gives you a clear roadmap for these critical post-meltdown moments. Each letter represents a specific step. R stands for recognize the rupture without shame. E is for engage your own regulation first. P means pause until both parties are regulated. A stands for acknowledge feelings and perspectives. I is for investigate triggers and patterns together. And R represents restore connection and plan forward. Today we'll master the first 3 steps, the foundation that makes everything else possible. In Part 2, we'll complete the process with steps 4, 5, and 6. Let's start with a real story that shows these steps in action. All this science is important, but what does the R.E.P.A.I.R method look like in real life? Let me introduce you to Emma and her mom, Jen, a family I'll be referring to throughout our journey together. Emma is 4 years old, bright, creative, and like many preschoolers, intensely emotional. Her mom, Jen, described their morning routine as walking through an emotional minefield. Getting dressed, brushing teeth. Each request triggered screaming, throwing, the works. After trying everything from star charts to threats of no screen time, Jen discovered the R.E.P.A.I.R method. Let's follow their journey through each step, starting with the game changer, recognize. The first step, recognize, is about naming what happened without shame or blame. This might sound simple, but it's where most parents immediately go wrong. Instead of thinking, I've failed as a parent, or my child is being manipulative, simply observe, a rupture has occurred. We both became dysregulated. This is normal. For Emma's mom, recognition meant shifting from Emma's being defiant again and making us late to we're having a hard time with transitions. This happens sometimes. This recognition without judgment is crucial because shame is toxic to the learning brain. When either you or your child feels ashamed about the meltdown, the brain's defense systems activate, making learning impossible. Quick check. What's your go-to thought when your child melts down? Is it about their behavior, your parenting, or the situation? Just noticing this is your first step toward change. Try this simple phrase, we had a big feeling moment. That happens sometimes. Now we have a chance to figure it out together. Notice there's no blame, no shame, just recognition of reality. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but what if my child is being manipulative? What if they're melting down on purpose to get what they want? Here's the neurological reality. Even when children appear to be using meltdowns, they're not making calculated decisions. Their developing brains are overwhelmed and using the only tools they have. The manipulation myth actually prevents effective response. When we label behavior as manipulation, we miss the legitimate need driving it, whether that's connection, autonomy, or sensory regulation. Remember, all behavior is communication. Our job is not to judge the communication method, but to decode the message. The second step, engage your own regulation, is where the real magic begins, and it contradicts almost everything we're taught about parenting through difficult moments. Here's the counterintuitive truth. Your child cannot regulate until you regulate. This is not selfish, it's neuroscience. Children co-regulate through their attachment figures. Your nervous system is the template for theirs. For Emma's mom, this meant stepping away from the morning chaos for 60 seconds to regulate herself before attempting to help Emma. She went to the bathroom, splashed cold water on her face, and took several deep breaths. This means your first responsibility is not to correct, teach, or even soothe your child. It's to regulate yourself. Think of it like the airplane oxygen mask instruction. Secure your own before helping others. Here are 3 regulation techniques you can use in under 60 seconds. First, box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Even 3 cycles can shift your nervous system state. Let's try 1 cycle together right now. Inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your mouth for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one cycle. In a real meltdown situation, aim for at least 3 cycles before responding to your child. Second, physical grounding. Feel your feet on the floor, press your palms together, or splash cold water on your face. These sensory inputs interrupt the stress response. Third, the self-compassion phrase. This is a moment of stress. Stress is part of parenting. May I be kind to myself in this moment? Remember, your child is watching you manage your emotions in real time. This is not just about calming yourself, it's modeling the very skills you hope to teach. I challenge you to try this counterintuitive approach. The next time your child melts down, make your first response about regulating yourself, not fixing them. The results might surprise you. The third step, pause, is perhaps the most underrated yet powerful part of the entire method. Most repair attempts fail because they happen too soon. When emotions run high, the thinking brain goes offline. Neurologically, it's impossible to process complex information during heightened emotional states. The pause allows both nervous systems to return to baseline. For Emma and her mom, the pause looked like sitting quietly on the couch together. No words, just presence. Emma's mom had tried to rush this step before, jumping straight into problem-solving, which only escalated the situation. But here's where parents often make a critical mistake. They mistake physical calm for emotional readiness. Your child might stop crying or screaming, but their nervous system may still be dysregulated. How long should this pause be? It depends on the age of the child and the intensity of the rupture. For young children, a good rule of thumb is 1 minute per year of age. For older children and teenagers, look for these 3 signs of regulation readiness: regular breathing pattern, relaxed facial expression, ability to make eye contact. During this pause, proximity matters. For some children, being close to you helps them regulate. For others, especially those with sensory sensitivities, space is more regulating. Follow their lead while remaining emotionally available. Now, let's get real. What about that grocery store meltdown I promised we'd address? Picture this. You're in the checkout line. Your 3-year-old wants candy, you say no, and suddenly they're on the floor screaming. Everyone's staring. Your heart is racing. Here's the R.E.P.A.I.R method adapted for this public emergency. R. Recognize. Silently acknowledge. This is a rupture. It's normal. We're both dysregulated. E. Engage regulation. Take 3 deep breaths. Place your hand on your heart. Lower your voice instead of raising it. P. Abbreviated. Pause. Move to a quieter area if possible. Even sitting on the floor in a less crowded aisle for 60 seconds can help. You might say calmly, "I see you're upset. We need a pause. Let's move over here until our bodies feel calmer." The full repair process, the A.I.R steps we'll cover in Part 2, can happen later at home. What matters in public is interrupting the escalation cycle and creating basic safety. Remember, other shoppers' judgment lasts minutes. The impact of your repair approach lasts a lifetime. As philosopher Blaise Pascal observed, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. The pause is where healing begins. Let's see how these first 3 steps work together in different scenarios. Scenario 1. Your toddler melts down when it's time to leave the playground. Recognize. Transitions are hard. We both got upset. Engage regulation. Take 3 deep breaths while holding your child. Pause. Sit on a bench together until breathing normalizes. Scenario 2. Your 8-year-old slams their door after homework frustration. Recognize. We had a rupture around homework. These moments happen. Engage regulation. Step away, splash water on your face, use self-compassion. Pause. Give space, then check in. I'm here when you're ready. Scenario 3. Your teenager gives you the silent treatment after a disagreement about screen time. Recognize, we're disconnected right now. That's part of relationships. Engage regulation. Journal your feelings before responding. Pause. Respect their need for space with, "I'd like to talk when we're both ready." After consistently applying just these first 3 steps for 2 weeks, Emma's mom noticed something remarkable. The morning meltdowns didn't disappear completely, but their intensity decreased dramatically. More importantly, Emma started to recover faster, sometimes even saying, "I need a pause, Mommy," when she felt overwhelmed. This was not magic, it was neuroscience in action. By creating safety around ruptures, Emma's brain was learning that big feelings are not emergencies and that repair is always possible. Now let's be realistic about implementing these first 3 steps. This is not something you'll perfect overnight. Like any skill, it develops through practice. I'm challenging you to a 7-day R.E.P.A.I.R practice, focusing solely on recognize, engage regulation, and pause. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Simply noticing ruptures without shame, prioritizing your regulation, and pausing before action will create significant shifts. Each day, track one repair attempt. What worked? What was challenging? Where did you see small signs of progress? Remember that progress is not linear. You'll have days of beautiful repair followed by days when you forget everything and revert to old patterns. This is not failure. It's being human. The goal is not perfection, but progress. Each attempt at repair, even the imperfect ones, strengthens your relationship and builds emotional intelligence, both yours and your child's. We've now mastered the foundation of the R.E.P.A.I.R method, the critical first 3 steps that create the neurological safety needed for true emotional learning. In Part 2, we'll complete the process with the AIR steps: acknowledge feelings, investigate patterns, and restore connection. These steps transform momentary repair into lasting emotional intelligence. The next time you find yourself in the aftermath of a meltdown, yours or your child's, remember that this moment, as uncomfortable as it feels, contains within it the seeds of your child's emotional strength. Every rupture is an opportunity, every repair builds resilience, and every time you choose connection over correction, you're rewiring both your brains for greater emotional intelligence. And here's my challenge to you. Commit to the 7-day R.E.P.A.I.R practice starting today. Share your experience in the comments. What shifted when you focused on repair instead of prevention? Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss Part 2, where we'll complete the R.E.P.A.I.R method and transform your approach to emotional development forever. Remember, in the words of the psychologist Carl Rogers, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. The same is true for our children.